I've been investing for over 12 years. A move like this is like once in a decade that you're going to see. So now the question is, where do I deploy my money? How do I capitalize? How do I just do options in a way that actually makes sense? That's what we're going to cover in this video right here, because the next 90 days in the stock market, there's a lot of money that could be made. There's a lot of opportunities out there that we could capitalize on. So the red companies down here is the ones that I am bearish on, and the green ones up here is the ones that I am bullish on. So maybe we buy shares, sell puts, or buy calls on these ones, and maybe we do basically the complete opposite down here. Maybe we sell calls, generate cash flow. Maybe we buy puts to hedge. Maybe we short the stock, right? There's a lot of things that we could really do to capitalize and scale our accounts. So let's go through the stock sheet here. We're going to spend a little bit of time on this. And of course, this is only updated at the time of recording this video. It is not going to be, evergreen forever. This changes every single day. But this is what I have for Discord members, but I want to show it to you right now just so you have a gauge of where I think things are at and how the heck we could capitalize on the market right now. Okay. So before we go look at the individual companies and the potential trades that we could do, we have to understand the big four right here. And the big four is going to be the economy, earnings per share growth, valuations, and interest rates. This basically dictates, are we in a bull market or are we going to be in a bear market? Are we in a recession? Are we not in a recession? Is the unemployment rate super high? Is it not? Is inflation out of control? Is it not? Is the market a bubble or is it not? You get it. This is like the really important place where you just start out and get a lay of the land of how is the stock market looking overall right now, right? So looking right here, I updated this a few days ago. We're at a score of an 84 for all these factored together. What does that actually mean? It means that we're bullish overall, but we're not as bullish as what we were April 1st of this year, when the market was basically a bottom during the Iran situation. Why is that? Because here, the valuations look better on the Iran situation. Right now, they don't look as good simply because the market ran up so much. The valuations are not that good. But what is very good is the earnings per share growth is very, very good. So it does help justify valuations right now, but it's still not enough to justify it completely. So the market is a little bit overvalued, but the big four on balance, it's kind of just neutral / a little bit cautious right now. Okay, so the next 90 days in the stock market, what do we buy? What do we sell? What do we capitalize on? What option strategy do we do? Let's cover it right here. There's a lot of bullish companies in the green, a lot of bearish in the red. You understand the big four. You understand there's a bunch of other tabs here on the bottom for things that you could do to get value from the stock sheet, a lot of templates and stuff like that. But that doesn't really matter right now. We're going to look at the main scorecard to get a lay of the land to figure out what the heck do we allocate in right now. So on the bullish side, you guys know that I've been saying I'm very, very bullish on NVIDIA. It gets a very good score for valuation. It gets a very good score for growth. It's a very good score for the moat, and the execution risk is also very, very good, and the economy right now is good overall too. So that is my most bullish stock right now. And if we just go look at the numbers really, really quick, you could clearly see EPS going up and to the right, good. Revenue going up and to the right, good. Very good growth at a fair P ratio right here. That is something that you want to allocate in. Buy shares, sell puts, buy calls. If we look at something like Meta, it's going to be basically the exact same thing, META. We'll go through a bunch of companies right here so you guys get a lay of the land of what I'm thinking. Revenue up and to the right, good. EPS up and to the right, good. EPS not as fast as NVIDIA though, for sure, but you're getting this at 20 times trailing earnings, which is very, very fair in my opinion. Meta, in my opinion, is going to be a buy. If we take a look at TSM, we're going to go through a bunch of companies here, but I think you're going to get a lot of value from it. TSM, earnings per share clearly going up and to the right, and of course it's no shocker that the stock is following that up and to the right, right? A lot of rights right here, but I've been preaching on this channel from day one with you guys that earnings per share is the number one thing that moves the price of a stock in the long term. Not your Bollinger Band, not your Fibonacci, not your volume, not your whatever indicator you're looking at. Where the profits go is where the stock is going to go in the long term. Revenue looks good. Price-earnings ratio level is 36 trailing, which is maybe a little bit high, but not too bad when you really understand what the company does and how they manufacture 90% of the data center chips. And they really just have that market, honestly, super cornered right now. So these percents right here, if you are wondering, basically, this is saying that VOO, which is the S&P 500, it's about 4.6% overvalued. If we look at something like Meta, it's roughly 25% undervalued. This is the percent of intrinsic value. So you can see that as we get closer to the bottom, there's really going to be nothing that is less than 100% because they're all expensive. And as we get to the top, there's more things that are cheaper. But of course, after the market just ran to the moon, there's just less deals out there right now, right? So let's look at something like a Google right now. We're going to do the bad ones too in a second. GOG. We can see that Google has pretty good revenue growth, pretty good earnings per share growth. This big jump right here was because Google has investments in private companies and they recently got revalued those private companies. So when they get revalued, the earnings per share will do a really big jump. It is a true earnings per share jump, but it is different than the actual underlying business of Google making this money. This big jump is because a company they invested in made a lot of money because it got re-rated higher. And that's why this big EPS jump is right here. But with that out of the way, price earnings ratio trailing is 27, which is pretty good. Revenue is 17, which is decent. Earnings per share growth is 46, which is great. Google's basically at fair value, in my opinion, and you can see it's basically at 100% right here. If we go take a look at Microsoft, let's look at MSFT. MSFT. We'll talk about what option strategy you use in trades and stuff like that in a second here. I just want to give you a lay of the land here. Microsoft's EPS going up and to the right, revenue up and to the right, good. You can see that the growth is good, but you're getting this at 26 times trailing earnings, which in my opinion is pretty darn fair if you ask me. And you notice that where the stock is at right now, this is basically the same price as what it was July 1st of 2024, which is literally 2 years ago. Why did the stock not move for 2 years? It's because back here the valuation level was too high. So if we go look at a company like PLTR, look, I get it, there's a lot of people that are going to be mad at me for saying this, but the valuation level is hot. I know the earnings per share and revenue growth is also really, really, really good, but it's no surprise the stock is taking a breather because it's kind of growing into its valuation right now because the stock was like 300 times trailing earnings just a few quarters ago. It was way too expensive up here. So when you're buying a stock at 150 times trailing earnings, it's like there's a lot of hype and euphoria priced into that stock. And if the growth continues, it's probably going to be fine, but the best case scenario is basically priced into Palantir right now, for example. So you obviously know I'm not going to be bullish on Palantir. And if we were to go find it, you can see right here, it gets a score of a 70 overall, but the valuation is literally a score of a 4 out of 20. And if we go to the right-hand side, the stock is currently trading at $142 per share. The intrinsic value, in my opinion, is somewhere around 58 bucks. So it's a pretty drastic difference right there, right? But stocks like this is what a lot of retail investors go and chase after simply because, hey, the stock is going up, I want to go buy it. But now it's like there's less people that like Palantir right now simply because the stock's not going to the moon. I mean, God, there's so many stocks that do this, like Hims. How many people were talking about how much money they were making on Hims back here? And now that the stock isn't really doing that much, they're like, I hate Hims now, right? Revenue growth started to flatline over here because they don't have a moat, which when there's no moat, the competition can come, your pricing power gets affected, and you can't raise your prices, right? So earnings per share drops off a cliff. And when EPS drops off a cliff at a time that the valuation level is very high to start, it shouldn't really shock you that the stock falls, right? It's not really, rocket surgery or rocket science, whatever here. Okay, let's continue. We're going to keep progressing through the video. Let's look at something like a SoFi right now. I know a lot of people care about that. SOFI, okay? Remember, we understand the Big Four. The Big Four is overall decent right now, but now we dig into single stocks, understanding of, where the Big Four is at, the lay of the land of what we're playing in right now. So a lot of people made a lot of money on SoFi through this pump right here. If we look right here, the stock was at about 32 bucks per share, which it shows right here, 32 bucks per share. The stock is basically half that right now. Is the company any different after this 50% drop? Did the profits drop off a cliff, or did the revenue drop off a cliff? Obviously not. It's just that you were paying too much for the company up here. In order to get a good investment, you have to get a good company at a good price. SoFi, in my opinion, is a decent company, but it wasn't at a good price up here. So now that you have pretty good growth at 38 times trailing earnings for the price earnings ratio level, it's now basically a fair value in my opinion. But what most retail investors see is like, oh my God, SoFi, it's a generational buying opportunity because it's down 50%. But in my opinion, it was just a bubble up here and it fell to where it should have actually been trading at. And that's exactly what the stock sheet says too. It's basically 3% overvalued right now, which it shouldn't shock you. It's a little bit overvalued right now. Let's take a look at Robinhood. You guys know that I had a bunch of Robinhood. I bought it on the dip. I made a little bit of money on the shares and calls that I bought and sold puts, but I did recently close it out on this little pump right here. Fine. Made a little bit of money. I'll take it. But Robinhood up here, it was $152 per share, and then it fell down to right here to literally 65 bucks per share. So that was like a 60% peak to trough dip. Does it mean Robinhood's a bad company if the stock falls 60%? It could be, but it's not. The revenue growth was going up and to the right in a bumpy way, and the earnings per share is still continuing up and to the right in a bumpy way. It's slowing down a little bit right now, but on balance, the growth is decent for a stock like Robinhood. So when the stock fell and collapsed, it just was because it was overvalued right here, right? It's really that simple. And the more companies that you really understand, what am I getting and what price am I paying for it, it won't really be too complicated to allocate and make money, right? Let's look at Apple. We haven't covered Apple in a long time on this channel. AAPL. We're going to get to the bad ones too. I'm going to go through all the hot stocks that are bad, and it's going to make a lot of people mad. Apple's earnings per share is going up and to the right. It looks decent. It's not astronomical growth, but it looks okay. Revenue growth is going up and to the right in a very slow way, but you're paying 37 times trailing earnings for that. So it's a little bit expensive fundamentally, because remember these numbers right here for the earnings per share growth and revenue growth and what you're paying for it. Let's just look at Meta in comparison. Meta has more top line, more bottom line, and evaluation level is almost half, meaning you're buying the business for literally half and getting theoretically the same profits, if that makes sense for the comparison right there. This is Apple right here. Or sorry, let's say this is Meta first. This is Meta. You're paying 20 times trailing earnings for it. You buy the business for $20, you get $1 per year in profits. But if we go to Apple, you're buying the business for $37 and you're getting $1 per year in profits. So just think about which one's more compelling. You want to pay less and get more, right? So it's just not like that with Apple right now. The valuation's a little bit hot in my opinion, and it's no surprise that Berkshire Hathaway is trimming. We already went through Palantir. I went through Bloom Energy recently, so we will skip that one. Let's take a look at ServiceNow. I know a lot of people love ServiceNow because this is one of those hot stocks that everyone's talking about, right? So earnings per share, sorry, this is revenue going up and to the right, looks good. Earnings per share going up and to the right, looks fantastic, looks good. There's no debating that. So when you're getting all this for 33 times trailing earnings, and there is a chance that AI is going to disrupt ServiceNow, it's a little bit expensive in my opinion, because again, remember these numbers right here, and then go look at Meta. Meta has pretty similar growth top and bottom line, and a P ratio is 20 versus, again, ServiceNow, it's 32. So if Meta were to be trading at the same valuation level as ServiceNow, Meta stock would be going up by 50%, because going from a P ratio of 20 to 30 is a 50% jump in price earnings ratio level. So the share price would go up 50% is basically what I'm getting at. So, ServiceNow, it's one of those things where it was very high, it fell quite a bit, but it was justified to fall because the valuation was very, very high up here. Again, we're trading at 32 times trailing earnings now. What do you think that P ratio was up here before the crash? It was $228 per share, basically double, and EPS was less over here. So the P ratio is probably like 75 up here. It's not justified for this growth rate here, because again, if you look at something like NVDA where you have really, really strong growth, you're getting that for 37 times trailing earnings with literally 7 bangers in the front of it for EPS and revenue, 70% plus. And the profit margins are literally 75% plus also for NVIDIA. So how do you justify ServiceNow in that environment at a similar valuation level? I honestly can't. It's really, really hard to justify. Let's go take a look at something like, let's look at Marvell. I know this stock has been going up a lot. MRVL. This is one that it's going to make people turn their heads a funny way. But this is literally the share price right here. Went to the freaking moon and went to Pluto. But now you're paying 100 times trailing earnings. This was all because Jensen Huang said it could be $1 trillion company. Fine. Very, very possible. And that does indicate a 4x from right here based on the market cap. But it doesn't have to happen just because Jensen Huang said it. I look at the fundamentals. I see revenue doing pretty good, but I see earnings per share growth doing decent, but not astronomical. It's not astronomical enough to justify a P ratio of 100. Like, that is insane, right? Again, remember these numbers right here. You're getting good growth, decent revenue growth, and you're paying 100 times trailing earnings, but NVIDIA is better on every single number, and it's literally like a third of the valuation. How do you justify Marvell over NVIDIA, in my opinion? I don't think that you can. Let's look at some of the popular ones on the bottom. There's so many people that like NKE, Nike stock, Nike, whatever you want to call it. This company has zero moat, in my opinion. And the fact that they have no moat, it's because you see revenue going down, you see earnings per share going down, because they can't raise their prices because there's 17,000 other competitors, to Nike. So it's like the stock goes down. But people say, well, Brandon, it's a deal, it's a whatever, it's down so much from the all-time highs. And I say, I don't care what it did from the all-time highs. I care about where the fundamentals are at for the business. This kind of looks like a BlackBerry in my example when the iPhone came out. We all know what happened then, right? P ratio is still 28. Like, how do you pay a P ratio of 28 for something that is not growing revenue and earnings per share is going down. It's terrible. It's not good at all, in my opinion, for something like Nike. If you look at Coinbase, we know that people like the big bad coin stock, COIN. Well, they like it less now, but they liked it more when the share price was going up. It's like, this is kind of like a bet on what Bitcoin's going to do. And when you have no revenue growth, no earnings per share growth, and the PE ratio is 80, it's like, how could you buy this company? Why would you ever want to buy this stock? It just doesn't make sense. And let's go into one more. Let's look at the big bad. Let's look at Intel. This is probably one that you guys care about. INTC. Earnings per share growth, it's not really doing much. Revenue growth, it's not really doing much. But hey, maybe the next big wave for the company is coming. You see that we're trading at 200 times trailing earnings. The growth for revenue is basically 1% year over year. This earnings per share growth is kind of manipulated because they recently came off of a negative number. So the year over year makes it look really, really, really good. Focus more on the revenue growth for this company right here. It's expensive. There's no margin of safety in this trade right here. So very, very simply, the higher things get to the top, the more shares that you want to buy, the more portfolio secure puts you want to sell, the more calls that you want to go buy. The farther it gets to the bottom, the more bearish you want to be, the more you want to trim that stock, the more that you might want to go buy puts or sell, calls against it, whatever. You guys know I don't like selling calls because you're bullish and bearish at the exact same time, but you get it. This is basically, my brain dump of my lay of the land, because in Discord, I do the deeper breakdowns. Like if we just go look at something like, where's NVIDIA right here, you will see that I do very deep, detailed breakdown write-ups for every single company that's big that reports. I do the intrinsic value. I do videos on them too for, hey, where I think the stock's going to be at. I do an audio update here covering like what I think and how to allocate and stuff like that. This is what it's all about, but the stock sheet is basically the place to just go dump that information and have it in a very simple place to go track. So I know this was a little bit longer video, but I just wanted to just make it to give you the lay of the land of where the market's at, things you could capitalize on, because there's a lot of opportunity right now on the bullish side and the bearish side. And when you understand where things are at, you simply deploy stock options to magnify an expected move. Okay, that's the video right there. If you got value, like, subscribe, hype, drop a comment below. Whenever I do a video like this again, you could go drop some comments below for what tickers you want me to cover. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video, which is how I do stock options in more detail, which I strongly recommend that you go watch. I'll see you here.